Thank you. Alongside Cheryl Pounder, it's always fascinating New Year's Eve when Canada plays the U.S., their eternal rival. And so many different compelling things about this game, but it starts, as it usually does, in goal. In Canada, you have Carter George, who's been perfect for them internationally. He won every game at the Hlinka Gretzky, every game at the U18s. He's 2-0 here so far, and he hasn't allowed a goal. You can't do much better than a 0.00 GAA and a 1.000 save percentage. For the Americans, it's been a different story. Trey Augustine, who came in as one of the pre-tournament favorites for MVP, has struggled a little bit. Hampton Slakinski was really good in his one game against Latvia. So a decision there. We'll get to the Americans in a second. First, George, besides those perfect numbers, what has impressed you most?
What's impressive is that he's singing in his crease, and I don't know what he's singing, but he's got to keep singing it because he's perfect right now. What I love about his game is he's playing confident, he's poised, he's calm in there. And when you're in front of a goaltender like that, you breed confidence because he's giving it to you, because you trust him. One of the things I love about his game is how he's tracking and anticipating where the greatest threat is on the ice, and that is an athlete that can read the game in layers in front of him. And because he can, he tracks, he's as big as possible in the crease, he's redirecting pucks to safety, and he's doing it all for his team right now.
So if you're David Carl, the American coach, you have the situation with the veteran in Augustine who's been here before but doesn't look good. Do you ride the hot goalie and take a chance on Slakinski, or do you go with the guy who's been here before?
Oh, this is a really difficult question because you've got two guys who are excellent netminders who can get the job done. And David Carl and company, they have a real difficult decision here because you're in a short-term tournament. And there is a train of thought here, two trains of thought, really. When you look at someone like Trey Augustine, here's a guy with the pedigree. He knows how to get it done. He's got it done in the past, winning that gold medal last year in his third World Junior Championship. But he hasn't looked clean. Like, he hasn't looked himself. You know he can put up the numbers. You know he can get the job done, but this is short term, and you've got to ride the hot hand. Now, they could put him in that New Year's Eve game against Canada to see if he can regain form. So you have your 1A that you want to continue with. But on the other side, you've got Slakinski, a guy who made 25 of 26 against Latvia, a guy at .941 save percentage at Western Michigan right now, a Clark Cup champion. So you could put him in the net in that big game against Canada and see what he does. Now, if he does really well, you can continue to ride the hot hand. If you don't, if he doesn't, you know that you can put Trey Augustine back in there. So if that's the case, you got two guys that really have a good feel. I mean, you really got to go with your gut check. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
I think I'm going with Slakinski.
Really?
Yeah, you know, it's a really tough call, and the coaching staff will certainly have a better gut feel on it, but a guy that's feeling it right now, playing well, playing clean, and you know he's got a nice body of work outside of this tournament, I think you have to ride the hot hand. There isn't enough leeway, and it's such a massive game. We're looking ahead to the quarterfinal, but who you play in that quarterfinal is huge.
These two teams have identical records, a couple of wins, and one a shootout loss, one an overtime loss, but they've taken such different roads to get here. The Americans have scored twice as many goals as Canada, 18-9. They've allowed 3 times as many as Canada, 9-3. So you have this ridiculous explosive offense against a stellar defense, and something's going to give on New Year's Eve.